All I can say is beautiful. This trailer gave me goosebumps. We're a little late to the party, but we just saw the trailer for Godzilla King of the Monsters, and we have to say it was breathtaking. It's the way a trailer should be done. So let's take a look at the trailer right now and see if we can pick it apart. So in the first segment, we see Millie, or Madison, the character, standing atop a building. At this point in the movie, something is probably coming, which is partly the reason she's on top of the building in the first place. No one goes to the top of a building with binoculars unless you're expecting to see something. You can even hear Emma Russell in the background saying it's already begun and we're the cause. There, it's confirmed that at this point in time, it's already announced that the Titans, as they're calling them, are about to introduce themselves, or something is happening. Vera Farmiga plays as Madison's mother, Dr. Emma Russell. She seems to be acting as somewhat of a monster expert or whisperer, someone who's able to communicate with the monsters, and her narration gives us some insight into why these monsters are set loose. She claims that we are the infection of the earth, and the Titans are basically the antibodies that are released to fight it. She says that the creatures have remained in hiding all around the world. She also claims that we have to find them because if we don't, the planet will perish and so will humans. So we have to assume that Godzilla is part of this reaction to the infection, and yet he seems to be on the side of the humans, fighting these other Titans.
And we are the cause. We are the infection.
We can also see what looks to be Mothra in one of the segments responding to Madison as Madison reaches out her hand to pet the Titan. And this tells us that Mothra has somewhat of a gentle nature. The design for Mothra also is just very breathtaking. Oh my goodness. This should be a poster for if Pokemon were real. Filmmaking and creature design has really come a long way, and thank goodness for CGI. When used properly, it sure does deliver. The fact that Mothra seems to be gentle towards humans tells us that she's not going to be the enemy, but probably going to be fighting alongside Godzilla and possibly even Rodan. Rodan and Godzilla were enemies, but if you remember, Rodan and Godzilla joined Mothra in trying to get rid of King Ghidorah, who is clearly in this movie. We're of the belief that they're just skipping way ahead to where all the monsters go up against the mighty beast. Maybe they have a little sprawl amongst themselves like a free-for-all. The reason why this would make sense is because the fans would probably want to see this for nostalgia purposes. After all, this Godzilla series does act as a reboot, and it would also make sense because they have to figure out where they all stand, the monsters, I mean. It's only when something bigger and more imposing comes along that they would band together. Ghidorah, in the sense, may be an outlier to this planet altogether, which would cause him to be a direct threat to the other monsters. So we see Godzilla all lit up and ready to go. See, oh hey, it's Richard from Silicon Valley. Well, the scene where they're witnessing Godzilla staring down at them is probably right before he makes an appearance and unleashes his atomic breath into the air. This is what the director meant by it being a call to arms. In this next scene, we clearly see King Ghidorah in what looks to be a huge chunk of ice, still laying dormant. He clearly is the biggest threat here. We're not sure whether or not King Ghidorah arrives on the scene first, and the humans attempt to wake up the other monsters to help Godzilla fight this thing, or if Godzilla was already fighting it and the others decide to join in sensing a threat. But consider the picture here. Just look at the length of the animal in just its neck alone, or at least one of the necks. So according to Monarch Sciences, it says that this guy is 521 feet tall. Also, in his super species profile, he is known to be bioelectrical in nature. It is also confirmed that he is in the Antarctic, so this explains why we're seeing him lie dormant in a huge block of ice, as the profile says, the Wall of Serpents. He is being dubbed as Monster Zero, and the fact that there's so much unknown about him makes us wonder if he's even native to our planet. He is in Monarch Outpost 32. This could be because he has 3 heads and 2 tails, because the outpost number seems to follow the last 2 digits of the years the first movies for the other monsters came out, but Ghidorah the 3-headed monster came out in 1964. Wait a minute. Half of 64 is 32. But then why wouldn't they just say 64? Anyway, in the following scenes, we can see that there's fire and mass destruction over the entire city. Then we see the huge face of this thing that can only be Mothra. The eyes on this version of Mothra are clearly much smaller. Her new design looks breathtaking and really portrays the bio well. Then we see Godzilla rising above the humans and doing his call to arms atomic breath. This scene is very beautiful and badass. I'm just so floored by the beautiful shot that we got of Mothra's glowing, dazzling wingspan, and in this moment we get to see how truly large she is. Following the Mothra scene, we see Rodan emerging from out of the volcano. And And not long after, we can see his spectacular wingspan as he flies over a town. That scene and him having been atop the volcano he just emerged from out of, and these things are going to be lit. It's just really awesome to see the new and improved Rodan. We've seen the many faces of Godzilla, but we've yet to see these guys, and we're going to be seeing 3 of some of the most iconic Godzilla monsters in this movie. I also noticed something about the person who plays Mark Russell named Kyle Chandler. He was in the previous 2005 King Kong movie, and he played Bruce Baxter. Now he's in a movie of the King Kong universe as the father of the main character. I know, we just found that interesting. So, there's something very interesting about one of these shots. We can see that Madison's staring at something, and it's a pic on her tablet. And we can see that their father is there, the Russells, the mother, and the father, and they're sitting there with her, a younger version of her, and also with what looks to be her younger sister. However, at no point in the movie trailers do we see a younger sister. This seems to further be confirmed because we don't see anybody who's supposed to be another Russell except for Madison Russell, Dr. Emma Russell, and Mark Russell. There is no little kid playing another Russell of the family in the cast. Something happened to the little sister, and we're going to be exploring the loss of a loved one the way we also did in Godzilla 2014. And it would also explain why it seems as if the father and mother are estranged. I only assume so because we don't really see the 2 characters together except for in the still shot. We also see a shot of Madison screaming her lungs out as chaos and destruction are raining down around her. During that whole ordeal, the camera cuts to the picture that we saw on her phone that's framed on a shelf. This either means that she's still hurting from losing a loved one, or more likely that she's alone in her family and her got separated. In the teaser we saw, it seemed as though she was totally alone and something might have happened to her mother. Well, we wouldn't be surprised. As Eleven in Stranger Things, she also played a loner in that movie, so maybe that's just something she's good at. There are so many tornadoes and firestorms going on all around in this scene, and only one of the monsters seems to be at the center of this, and that's Rodan, flying around in the background. You can see the military jets following him as well, so it begs the question, did he cause all of this? It seems as though they're pointing to him being responsible. He is born of fire, there's fire. His wings also create a very strong gust of wind, and it's able to level cities, and here are windstorms all around in the form of tornadoes. In another shot with the military jets, we see him fighting them off. But we also see the background, which looks very similar to the shot before. Maybe he came onto the scene first and started causing destruction. Maybe Rodan is the first aggressor, which causes Godzilla to resurface. Being that this creature can fly high into the sky and there's no real reason for him to land to fight Godzilla and put himself at a disadvantage, it would make sense for them to release another flying creature that can match him. Mothra. However, looking back at a certain clip, it seems almost as though Emma Russell released Rodan. She clicks a button and we see an explosion burst off the top of the volcano, and then Rodan appears. So did Emma Russell free him? It would also explain why Madison said her mom was a monster. It seems as though she was directing it towards her mom. They seem to be painting Emma as a crazy person who actually wants to help the world correct itself, as she hinted to at the beginning.
And we are the cause. We are the infection.
So yeah, she might turn out to be a crazy person. It's very likely that all 3 beasts are going to end up fighting together. It's clear that they're not necessarily following the exact order or events of the older movies. Who knows? Mothra may be the one to fight Rodan, and while all this chaos and destruction is taking place, King Ghidorah may wake up. This is probably where Godzilla will come in. That's the exciting thing about all of this, we don't know. But it totally seems as though Rodan is laying waste. Well, after Rodan gets his few seconds of fame, we see the mighty Hydra with electricity arcing all around him. When King Ghidorah outstretches his wings completely, it is very clear that the wings go all the way off the screen, so this thing has to have a monstrous wingspan, especially in comparison to the other flying creatures, or maybe it's just his mass in general. Godzilla is definitely going to need help with this one, and the only way he would adequately be able to battle creatures in the air is with his atomic breath. We saw this in his call to arms how far up that can actually be shot. It seems as though Godzilla can blast his atomic breath way past the clouds. Then we see Tywin Lannister saying, "Long live the king." Well, we know he isn't talking about Joffrey. Bad joke, sorry. Look at how beautiful and nasty he looks at the same time. So close to the end of the trailer, we can see Rodan doing what looks to be him clapping his wings as he uses the force from that to ascend quickly. This could be that mighty thunderclap. We also noted that in doing this move, he obliterates some of the fighter jets. I don't know why these people even bother trying. They know they can't take down these monsters. So here's another thing. Since in the last movie, the people have come to realize that Godzilla is their savior. Is it possible that in the last scene, the military and Monarch come together to summon Godzilla to help fight King Ghidorah? We can observe in this scene where Godzilla makes his appearance that the clouds are arcing lightning in much the same way they were when we saw King Ghidorah for those few seconds. It would really be awesome to see the King of Monsters take down this imposter. That seems to be what the title is alluding to. King Ghidorah could be the King of Monsters, but if he's defeated by Godzilla, then Mighty Godzilla keeps that title. We're so psyched for this movie, and the trailer looks amazing. The song choice was interesting, and I was a little biased because I actually do like this famous piece, although I have no idea what it's called. You know, the classical songs you should love, and you can hum exactly to the tune, but you have no idea what the names are. I can understand why they used it, but my colleague disagreed, saying that while the piece was masterful, it seemed to just be catering to Godzilla fans and would probably not do as good a job at recruiting in new audiences. I personally would have used something more badass like 28 Weeks Later's theme, Dawn Abandons Alice by John Murphy. That song is used in every apocalyptic meme or video. Would that not suit it a little bit more? Needless to say, we're still really hyped for this movie. And that smile on Millie's face though, either she's cheering for Mothra or for Godzilla, but that smile is one that says, oh yeah, I'll see my friend, he's gonna get you now. Trailer was awesome. Which monster are you guys most excited to see? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching. This has been Altiori. You ask, we answer.